Aloha. Today I'd like to talk about gamification in the Kukui Cup. Gamification, according to Wikipedia, is the use of game design mechanics and techniques to solve problems and engage audiences. It's generating a lot of hyperbole. The entrepreneur Seth Prabash says that if the last decade was about social networks, the next decade will be about games. Jane McGonigal, a game designer and author, says that we can solve world problems like poverty by playing the right kinds of games a whole lot of the time. The Gartner Group has noticed these outsized expectations and shows gamification is about to summit the peak of inflated expectations, which unfortunately is always followed by the trough of disillusionment. In fact, the trough is already appearing, as evidenced by a few very negative voices involving gamification. So we're taking a critical look at gamification in the context of the Kukui Cup. We hope it helps, but we also want to find out if it hurts. The Kukui Cup is an energy challenge that we just held at the University of Hawaii in October 2011 for over 1,000 first-year students living in these 4 residence halls. It lasted 3 weeks and involved a combination of online activities along with real-world events like workshops and excursions. Using custom instrumentation, we found that 418 students played the game for a total of 850 hours on the site. Apache web stats are less useful to us. They showed over 4,000 unique visitors and 170,000 hits. Like many energy challenges, we had a competition to see which floors could reduce their consumption the most. But unlike most other energy challenges, we also had a competition to see which students could learn the most by engaging in a variety of educational activities. Let's now take a quick look at 4 ways we employed gamification to support the goals of the Kukui Cup. We tried to create a virtuous circle using game mechanics in which online activities would suggest ways for students to change their real-world behavior, and if successful, these real-world changes would result in improved performance back in the game world. Here's some preliminary results. For the floors which had more than 40% participation, we see evidence that energy conservation performance in the real world is correlated with game performance in the virtual world. A second mechanic involves leveling up. At the beginning of the game, players are placed in the forest, which has simplified energy analyses that are restricted to their floor's data. During the 3rd week of the game, we allowed the top 40 players to level up to the Canopy, an additional section of the site with more sophisticated analyses and a more global view of energy consumption. Our preliminary results show that most of the players invited into the Canopy did not spend much time there. We believe these results indicate our failure to spend enough time on Canopy design, rather than a failure of the leveling up game mechanic. With hundreds of players and a budget for only a few prizes to the top individuals and floors, how can one incentivize those who know they will never be the top performers? Thanks to Balaji Prabhakar from BECC 2010, we implemented a raffle game so that all players had a chance to win some kind of prize, where the number of raffle tickets they would receive would be proportional to their participation. Our preliminary results show that the raffle game was a popular component of the system. Once players achieved a modest number of points in the game, most played it. We must do further research to determine the extent to which it directly incentivized involvement. An important goal of first-year students is to make new friends, so we created a social bonus to reward players for participating in activities with other students. Our preliminary results show that the social bonus was used by about 20% of the 418 students, and that many of those 80 students used the social bonus mechanism a great deal. These preliminary analyses are unsatisfying to us. In fact, it's just been a couple of weeks since the competition ended. So we're initiating follow-up studies to better understand the long-range impact of the Kukui Cup. We'll be incorporating these ideas into next year's challenge. Thanks very much.